Hatton Garden. If you're looking for a Rolex, Patek or AP, this is where you come. For decades, it's been in the centre of London's luxury watch scene, dealing in some of the world's rarest and most exclusive timepieces. But how exactly did this area become the centre of the London's watch world? And with the market constantly evolving, how is it changing today? Let's delve in. Hatton Garden wasn't always about watches. It started as a jewellery district, gold, diamonds and fine craftsmanship. But over time, demand for luxury watches exploded, so did Hatton Garden, and now it's home to some of the biggest dealers in the country. But the game has changed. The way watches are bought, sold and valued has evolved massively over the years. Let's take a look at how we got here. Hatton Garden's history goes back over 200 years. It was once the centre of London's jewellery trade. The finest goldsmiths, finest jewellers were all here. This is where all the deals were done. But by the 1980s and 90s, something had changed. The watch market had taken off. Vintage Rolex, Cartiers and Pateks became serious investment pieces. And the dealers in Hatton Garden, they adapted. The watch boom started small. Back in the day, dealers were flipping Daytonas and Nautiluses for a few grand. But today, those same watches are worth 6 figures. And that shift is what turned Hatton Garden into what it is today, the watch capital of London. The 2000s and 2010s were a game changer. The rise of the internet and social media completely transformed the industry. Watches were no longer just luxury accessories. They were seen as serious investments and everybody wanted to get in. Hatton Garden became the go-to place for traders, flippers and serious collectors. Before, everything was done face to face. Now, you can sell a £100,000 watch from a single Instagram post. The speed of business changed and so did the type of buyer. It wasn't just old school collectors anymore. Crypto millionaires, young entrepreneurs and influencers all wanted in. As demand for luxury watches exploded, so did prices. The hype was real and Hatton Garden was at the centre of it.
So my least favourite thing at the moment, I think the calibre of people have changed. Obviously, you know, you had very high standards in the Hatton Gardens before, but now like it's kind of changed when you're walking around, everyone's puffing weed and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm not saying whether you can, that's not my thing, but you know, like when you come to a workplace, you do work and then whatever you do at home, that's your business, you know? So many young kids here now, like little kids that are like obviously trying to be watch dealers or jewelers, and like obviously I think it's fashionable now because people think that you can just come in and you can make ton loads of money and wear like, you know, all fancy designer clothes, drive big cars, but it actually doesn't work like that. You have to actually really, really work hard to get to that stage. But I think people are a bit bamboozled when it comes to social media, thinking that, you know what, just like that. No one obviously sees the
I wish it was that easy.
Part.
As the watch market grew, so did the problems. Fake watches, thefts, and even one of the biggest robberies in British history. One of the biggest shocks to the industry was the 2015 Hatton Garden heist. A group of criminals broke into the vault here and stole £14 million worth of jewellery and watches. It was straight out of a Hollywood movie, but unlike a movie, this was real, and this made everyone rethink security. After that, everything changed. Security got tighter, dealers became more cautious, and people started paying more attention to who they were doing business with. But it wasn't just theft that was an issue. Another big issue was fake watches. High-quality fakes flooded the market. Superclones, which looked almost identical to the real thing, to the untrained eye, were available in the market globally. And in a business where a single mistake can cost you tens of thousands of pounds, this was a big issue. Knowing who you're buying from became more important than ever. Clients wanted to know that the dealer you're dealing with had the knowledge and the experience to identify these super fakes and not be caught out, because ultimately, if they get caught out, you might get caught out. Then came the biggest market shift we've ever seen. Between 2020 and 2022, watch prices went through the roof. Everybody wanted a Rolex, AP, or a Patek, and watch prices reached all-time highs, and Hatton Garden was on fire.
Do you think them prices were real in COVID?
Well, they were real because they were actually changing hands.
But do you think, like, what do you think? I know we had the rumours of our Rolex is stopping manufacturing and this and that. Obviously, we know that crypto had a crazy pump in 2020, 2021. We also know everyone was getting bounce back loans. People never had a pound before. All of a sudden, I got 50 grand. First thing they want to do is buy a watch. So that's what made the market.
Yeah, 100%.
But like, a blue sky dollar being 32 grand, a green olive being 80 grand. It wasn't.
White dial Daytona being 40 grand.
Yeah, it wasn't real, was it?
No, it wasn't real. No, they weren't real price, but it was in everything, Bob. It weren't just watches, houses, and cars, and everything. So, and obviously crypto. The COVID-19 pandemic changed everything. With traditional investments feeling risky, people started parking their money in alternative investments like luxury assets. Rolex wasn't just a watch anymore, it was a financial asset. We saw steel Daytona prices hit £50,000. Stainless steel Patek Nautiluses were selling for over £140,000. It felt like the market would never stop climbing. And then it did. In mid-2022, the watch market crashed. Watches that had doubled in value were now falling just as quickly. Investors began to panic. And in Hatton Garden, the dealers had to adapt. Fast. This is where experience separates the real traders from the short-term flippers. The ones who knew the market would correct itself survived. The ones who were chasing the hype mostly disappeared.
Do you know what? This is going to sound really cliche, yeah, but when everything was super high, Danny kind of see what was coming.
Really?
And we sold everything. The only watch that I can remember that we took a loss on was a stainless steel 15500 ST white dial that we paid like 32k for and sold it for 27k.
Really?
That is it. And I'm not lying.
Today, Hatton Garden is still the centre of London's watch trade. The market has stabilised and the collectors are back. The days of wild price spikes are over and people are being a lot smarter with their money. If you walk through Hatton Garden today, you'll see the same dealers, the same showrooms, but a new approach. Buyers are doing more research and being more cautious. But despite all the changes, one thing hasn't changed. If you want the best watches in London, this is still the place to come, the beating heart of the industry. And if you know what you're doing, there's no better place to buy or sell watches. So where does Hatton Garden go from here? The watch industry is evolving fast. Technology is changing the way that we buy and sell, and the market is moving in new directions. Digital platforms are playing a bigger role. More deals are happening online and international buyers are getting involved like never before. But one thing's for sure, Hatton Garden isn't going anywhere, but I am. I've been in Hatton Garden now for 7 years. It's been a great place for me. I too have seen the changes. Hatton Garden is steeped in history and it always will be. It will always hold a special place in my heart. But with changing times, as a business, I have to also change. So that's why I've decided to relocate the store. We're no longer going to be in Hatton Garden. We've got a brand new store I'm opening up in Mayfair, right opposite Claridge's Hotel. Unfortunately, it's not big enough for me and all of the staff. The new store is, and it's going to allow us to offer a much better service, as well as still being only 6 minutes on the tube away from Hatton Garden. What do you guys think? Is Hatton Garden still the best place to buy watches? Or have we moved on? Perhaps to Mayfair? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like that video and want to see more insights from the watch industry, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.